A $4,000 repair bill feels like a catastrophe. $777 a month feels like a decision. A grown-up decision, something responsible people do. And that difference in how those two numbers feel, not what they cost, how they feel, is the single most expensive piece of psychology in American car ownership. Because $777 a month is $9,324 a year. That's the average financed new vehicle payment in the second quarter of this year, according to Edmunds. It is a record for the third quarter in a row. So the $4,000 transmission that ruined your week costs less than 5 months of the thing everybody keeps suggesting you replace it with. Nobody says it that way. The repair bill arrives as one violent number on one sheet of paper, and the payment arrives quietly, monthly, automatically, for 7 years. One of those feels like a wound. The other feels like adulthood. Same wallet, very different arithmetic. I'm Ellen, and this is the Owner's Report. Today, I'm going to tell you not to panic and not to buy anything. If that's useful to you, subscribing costs you nothing and keeps these in front of you. Quick note before we start. I put the full arithmetic in a short field manual called What the Record Actually Says About Your Car. Links in the description. It's the same numbers on paper with the sources printed next to them. Now, let's look at the receipts. Here's the belief we're testing. It goes something like this. Past a certain age, a car becomes a money pit. Repairs stack up. You're throwing good money after bad. Better to get into something reliable with a warranty before it strands you. You've heard it from a service advisor, from a brother-in-law, from roughly every advertisement produced since the invention of the automobile. And it is not a stupid belief. It's just an untested one, because almost nobody sits down and runs the comparison honestly. So let's run it. The best public breakdown of what a car actually costs comes from AAA, which has published its Your Driving Costs study every year since 1950. The most recent edition puts the total cost of owning and operating a new vehicle at $11,577 a year, over 5 years and 75,000 miles. That's about $965 a month, and the average sticker price in their sample was $38,938. But the total isn't the interesting part. The breakdown is, because AAA splits that number into 6 lines, and once you see the lines, you can see which ones your old car simply doesn't have. Line 1, and the biggest by a wide margin, depreciation. $4,334 a year of value quietly evaporating out of a vehicle that is sitting still in a driveway doing absolutely nothing. Actually, let me back up, because this word gets used loosely, and it matters here. Depreciation is the gap between what you paid and what the thing is worth now. It isn't a fee, nobody bills you for it, there's no line item, no due date, no envelope. You feel it exactly once, on the day you trade or sell, and by then, it's already happened, which is precisely why it doesn't register as a cost. A cost you never write a check for doesn't feel like a cost at all. That's $4,334 a year. On the AAA study's own numbers, it is the largest single expense of owning a new vehicle, larger than fuel, larger than insurance, larger than every repair most people will ever pay for. And here's the part that reframes everything. On a 12-year-old car, that line is almost gone. A vehicle that's already lost most of its value cannot lose it twice. The steep part of the curve happened years ago to somebody else, and you are now driving the flat part. That's not a trick, and it's not clever. It's just arithmetic that nobody puts in front of you, because there's no salesperson whose commission depends on you understanding it. Line 2, finance charges. $1,131 a year in the AAA study, and that's on their assumptions, which are a 5-year loan with 15% down. Most real buyers aren't doing that anymore. Edmunds reports the average amount financed for a new vehicle hit a record $44,156 in the second quarter of this year, with the average down payment falling to $5,815. That's about 11.5% down, the lowest share since 2020. And the terms keep stretching. A record 36.5% of financed new vehicle buyers took a loan of 73 months or longer. Nearly 1 in 4 took 84 months or longer. 7 years on a machine that will be halfway through its useful life by the time the last payment clears. On a paid-off car, that line is 0, not lower, 0. Line 3, insurance. AAA's study uses $1,694 a year based on a full coverage policy. Current market data from Insurify puts the national average at about $186 a month for full coverage against about $98 a month for liability only. That's a gap of roughly $88 a month, or a bit over $1,000 a year. Now here is the mechanism, and this is where I want you paying attention, because this is the part that gets explained wrong constantly. Full coverage is two things bolted onto your liability policy: collision and comprehensive. Liability pays for the damage you do to other people. Collision and comprehensive pay for damage to your car. That's the whole distinction. And the maximum those two coverages will ever pay you is the actual cash value of your vehicle minus your deductible. So on a car worth $35,000, you are buying a lot of protection. On a car worth $4,000, you are paying a monthly premium to insure $4,000 minus a deductible that might be $1,000 of it. The coverage doesn't get cheaper as fast as the payout gets smaller. At some point, those two lines cross, and on the other side of that crossing, you're paying real money every month for a shrinking promise. I'm not telling you where your crossing point is. That's your call, with your agent, with your savings account in front of you. What I am telling you is that the crossing point exists. It's arithmetic, and most people never look for it because nobody sends them a notice saying, your protection is now smaller than your premium. Line 4, license, registration, and taxes. $813 a year in the AAA figures, and that includes the government fees payable at purchase. In a great many states, registration scales with vehicle value or age. Older car, smaller number, and the sales tax on a new purchase, that one only exists if you make the purchase. Line 5, fuel. 13 cents a mile in the study. Fair enough. A newer vehicle may genuinely beat your old one here. Not always, but sometimes, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. Line 6, maintenance, repair, and tires. 11.04 cents a mile in the AAA study. At 15,000 miles a year, that's about $1,650. Read that line carefully, because it's the one everybody misreads. That is the figure for a brand new car under warranty, with the study explicitly including a comprehensive extended warranty and one set of replacement tires. Even the shiny new one has a repair line. It isn't zero. It never was. Your 12-year-old car's number is higher. Of course it is. I'm not going to insult you by pretending an aging vehicle doesn't need more work. It does. So let's put the whole thing together and see what number we're actually arguing about. Take the payment alone at the current average, $9,324 a year. Add the insurance difference between full coverage and liability, call it $1,000. Add registration and taxes on a new purchase. Set fuel aside entirely, since that could break either way. Before you have spent $1 on maintenance, before one oil change, before one set of brakes, you are somewhere in the neighborhood of $10,000 a year. Which means your old car could need $8,000 of repairs in a single year and still be the cheaper vehicle. $8,000 in 1 year. That's an engine and a transmission and a full set of tires and a suspension refresh and a week of rental car, and you'd still be ahead. Now, hold on. That comparison is doing something slightly unfair, and I'd rather say so than have you catch it. A car payment builds equity in an asset you eventually own outright. Repair money doesn't come back to you. Those aren't identical dollars. Fair, but look at what the asset does while you're building that equity. It loses $4,334 a year in value on AAA's own numbers, faster in the first 2 years than the balance comes down. And we know exactly how that ends because it's measured. Edmunds reported that in the first quarter of this year, nearly 31% of trade-ins toward a new vehicle carried negative equity, the highest share for any quarter since early 2021, with an average shortfall of $7,183. 3 in 10. Not people who missed payments. Ordinary buyers who did everything they were told. Arriving at the trade counter to learn the loan is bigger than the car. So yes, you build equity. And roughly a third of the people building it arrive at the finish line owing more than it's worth and roll that shortfall into the next loan, which starts underwater on day one before the new vehicle depreciates a single dollar. You know what has never once put anyone into negative equity? A paid-off 12-year-old sedan. Let me put you in the room where this decision actually gets made, because it isn't made with a spreadsheet. It's a Tuesday. You're standing at the service counter in that fluorescent light, holding a printout you don't fully understand, and the advisor is being genuinely kind about it. He turns the page toward you. Transmission, 4,200, parts and labor. Then he pauses, and he says the sentence, the one everybody hears eventually. Honestly, at this point, I'd think about putting that money towards something newer. And he isn't lying to you. He probably believes it. It's a decent, human thing to say to somebody holding bad news. But notice what just happened. He compared $4,200 against zero, against the imaginary newer car that hasn't started costing anything yet because you haven't bought it. Nobody in that conversation says out loud that something newer means $9,300 a year for 7 years plus $1,000 more in insurance plus the tax and the tags. The comparison isn't rigged, it's just incomplete. And incomplete comparisons have direction. They always favor the thing that hasn't been priced yet. Follow the money for 1 minute, and be careful with me here, because I'm about to say something less dramatic than you might expect. There is no conspiracy to make you replace your car. Nobody is coordinating anything. What exists is a whole economy that earns when a vehicle changes hands and earns nothing when it doesn't. Dealerships earn on the sale. Lenders earn on the interest. Edmunds reports 1 in 5 financed new vehicle buyers this past quarter committed to payments of $1,000 or more. Manufacturers earn on the unit. Insurers write a larger premium on a more expensive car. And the person who keeps a 12-year-old car running generates almost none of that. A few $100s to an independent shop, that's it. So the message you hear every single day of your life is the message that has funding behind it. Not because anyone's dishonest, because messages that make money get repeated, and messages that don't. Aligned incentives don't need a plan. Now the other side, and I want to give it properly, because parts of it are strong and one part of it I actually find persuasive. Start with safety, which is the serious argument. Newer vehicles have crash avoidance systems that older ones simply don't. That's not marketing. In May of 2024, federal regulators issued Motor Vehicle Safety Standard No. 127, which will require automatic emergency braking, pedestrian automatic emergency braking, and forward collision warning on all new light vehicles, with compliance required by September 1st, 2029. That standard exists because the agency concluded these systems prevent deaths and injuries. Your 12-year-old car does not have that, and no amount of arithmetic makes it have that. Second argument, predictability. A warranty converts an unpredictable cost into a fixed one. If a $4,000 surprise would genuinely wreck your household, not annoy it, wreck it, then paying more in total for the certainty of knowing the number is a rational trade. That's not weakness, that's insurance in the ordinary sense of the word. Third, reliability has a floor. If you're driving to a job where being stranded costs you the job, or you're 2 hours from the nearest hospital, or you're putting a family member in that vehicle who cannot be left on a shoulder in February, then the calculation includes things that don't sit on a repair estimate at all. And honestly, that third one lands for me. I've watched people run these numbers perfectly and still make the other choice for entirely sound reasons that had nothing to do with money. This was never an argument that everyone should keep every old car forever. The claim is narrower than that, and it's this. The belief that an old car is automatically the expensive option is wrong. It's wrong by thousands of dollars a year, and most people have never once checked. One more thing I owe you, because this channel separates what's confirmed from what isn't. Everything I've given you with a source attached is documented. The AAA breakdown, the Edmunds financing figures, the negative equity share, the insurance averages, the federal braking standard. Those are published, free, and checkable. What is not well documented, and you should be suspicious of anyone who claims otherwise, is a reliable national figure for what repairs cost by vehicle age. Numbers get thrown around constantly. Most of them come from companies that sell extended warranties or repair estimates, which means the organization publishing the number benefits when the number is alarming. I'm not accusing anyone of dishonesty. I'm telling you the source has an interest, and you should weigh it accordingly. Which is why your own repair receipts beat any national average that exists. You have the only data set that describes your actual car. So here's the payload. 6 things you can check yourself, none of which cost $1. 1. Pull your last 24 months of repair receipts and total them. Divide by 2. That's your real annual repair cost, not a feeling, not a bad memory of one terrible month. Most people discover the number is far lower than the one living in their head. 2. Go to AAA's Your Driving Costs Calculator. Put in your state, your annual mileage, and a vehicle you're actually considering. It gives you the full 5-year picture, all 6 categories, not just the payment. Compare that total against the number from step 1. 3. Look up your car's current market value and divide your annual full coverage premium by it. That ratio tells you what you're paying to insure what. Then take that ratio to your agent and ask directly what you'd save on liability only. Ask what you'd lose. Get both answers before you decide anything. And if you still owe money on the vehicle, your lender almost certainly requires full coverage. So start there. 4. Run your VIN through the free recall search at NHTSA's site. Open recalls get repaired at no charge at a dealer, regardless of the vehicle's age. People leave real safety work on the table simply because nobody told them. 5. Look up your state's total loss threshold in your state statutes. This one matters more as a car ages because the threshold is a percentage of your car's value, and when the value is low, a fairly modest collision can total it. Knowing that number in advance changes how you think about your deductible and your coverage. 6. Read your own retail installment contract if you have one, or the one you're being handed. Federal law requires the disclosures in a box: annual percentage rate, finance charge, amount financed, total of payments. The finance charge is total interest in dollars over the whole term. Look at it once, just once. That's it. That's the whole thing. The car in your driveway is not a failure. The average light vehicle on American roads is 12.8 years old, according to S&P Global Mobility's latest analysis, and there are about 289 million vehicles out there. For passenger cars specifically, the average is 14 and a half years. You are not behind. You are the American normal, and the normal is holding on for reasons that turn out to be sound. The industry that wants your old car gone will keep describing it as a liability. The documents describe it differently. A vehicle that has finished depreciating, carries no finance charge, and can be insured for what it's actually worth is one of the cheapest ways to move a human being around this country. That's my read on it. And the numbers are all in the description so you can check whether I've got it right. Keep the receipts, run your own total. And if the arithmetic says replace it, then replace it with your eyes open, knowing what the payment really costs, instead of because somebody made you feel behind. Next time I'll show you where the trade-in number comes from and why it's the least negotiable figure in the entire transaction. If this was worth 10 minutes, subscribe. The field manual link is below. This has been the Owner's Report.